सहना भवतु सहनौ पुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। So, what we are doing is that the snanam, achamanam, various religious worships, the various religious rites, they do not really purify the self, because the self is already pure. Neither they can purify the self, nor does the self require to be purified. This is the Siddhantam. Because it is illogical to accept that the truth requires to be purified. The eternal requires to be purified. You see, if there is impurity in the self, then the next question is, even if we remove that impurity, then it can again collect impurity. What can collect impurity once can collect impurity again and again. But this must be the stand of a student. What can collect impurity what can collect impurity once can collect impurity again and again. Now, if we go about purifying the self, then it will become another struggle. Therefore, here the Shastram says, hey, you don't require to purify yourself, your being. That is not sanskaryam. And these religious worships, prayers, like snanam and achamanam, they do not purify the self, they purify only the mind. And purification of the mind also is nothing but really purification of some thinking. It doesn't really affect the line of thinking. It doesn't really purify one's wrong thinking about oneself. It only purifies the impulses. It softens up the impulses. That's all. That's even purification. It can't even totally remove the impulses. These religious prayers and worships can only soften up the impulses like kama, krodha, etc. And for an individual, it is a great relief if his impulses get softened up. He finds a relief within himself. He can spend the day more peacefully. He can have, better sleep. if his impulses are softened up. His anger, his greed, his jealousy, his hatred, his revenge, vindictiveness, all these things. Therefore, these religious prayers and worships can only soften up the impulses, and that itself is what we call Chitta Shuddhi, mental purity. Nothing else. To become less cruel, more kind, more considerate. This is all softness. It promotes positive emotions. It softens up negative emotions. Promotes, good feelings and softens up bad impulses. Even this situation of having a peaceful mind is good even for a Vedanta, because even he requires not only to live peacefully, one requires to live peacefully, one requires a pure mind, a peaceful mind. Even to understand Vedanta, one requires to have a peaceful mind. Therefore, Chitta Shuddhi becomes a kind of a precondition. But we have to know what is this mental purity. We always say that Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Shuddhi. What is mental purity? Mental purity is nothing but really softening up impulses. And even if you don't promote your positive emotions in a big way, these wrong impulses, if they are negative impulses, if they are softened up, one is quite more peaceful. Thus, the Purva Pakshi is answered here by the Siddhanti. Sir, these purificatory rites, these purificatory worships don't purify Atma. Don't purify Atma. In fact, Atma illumines the negative emotions, the positive feelings. In fact, whatever takes place in the mind gets illumined by the self. And as the illuminer, it is always illuminer. How can the illuminer become impure illuminer? In fact, if the illuminer becomes an impure illuminer, then it should lose that illumining capacity. If it loses that illumining capacity, then we can say it has become impure. But it never loses its illumining capacity, the knowing capacity. Whatever takes place in myself, it gets illumined in my own light. Whatever I think gets illumined, gets known by me. Whatever I think gets known by me. That means that knowing me is the self, not the feeling me. The feeling me is the jiva. The knowing me is the self. As the knowing me is always the knowing me, the knowing I knows the waking, knows the dream, knows the negation of both. So the knowing I never loses its knowing nature. It is only the feelings that keep changing. The feeler identity keeps changing. Now I feel kindness. Now I feel cruelty. Now I feel love. Now I feel hate. Thus there are changes in the feelings. But whatever I feel gets known by me. This is called choiceless illuminer, choiceless awareness. So what I think I come to know. So my identity as the knowing being doesn't, my identity as the knowing being is never lost. So that means the knowing being never becomes impure. Never becomes impure. If it did become impure, then it should lose its knowing nature, its illumining nature, but we don't experience that the knowing nature ever gets lost, because we all the time know what we feel and think and remember and experience. So we are all the time aware of our feelings and thoughts and emotions and memories and pleasures and pains and the waking, the dream, and even the total blackout, the most frightening, the most, the one which nobody looks at. The blackout, what we call the deep sleep, even that is everybody's knowledge. Thus, the knowing being, the Sakshi being, that one who knows doesn't know through the senses. Really, he knows the dream. These senses close, but the Atma knows the dream. And the senses are not neither the waking senses nor the dream senses are there in the deep sleep state, but yet the very negation of the waking and the dream senses is known by the self, and therefore the one who knows is not that he knows through the sense organs. Knowledge is never through the senses. That I come to know through the senses, and minus the senses, I lose my knowing nature, is an error about the knower. The knowing being loses his knowing nature, minus the senses. This thinking is called adhyasa. And our thinking that we lose our knowing nature, our thinking that we lose our knowing nature, our witnessing nature, or our experiencing nature, we lose it when there are no senses, is contradicted by our own experience. Our thinking is contradicted by our experience. Our conclusions are contradicted by our experience. Our experience tells that there is no time when we cease to know. To know an object is knowing. To know time is knowing. To know the negation of time and object is also knowing. There is never negation of knowing. Therefore, the deep sleep state is not a state of negation of knowledge, but deep sleep state is a state of knowledge pertaining to negation of the object. This is the most fundamental correction to be made, which is itself called really understanding the Turiyam. Understanding Turiyam is by way of correcting this notion that deep sleep state is not really negation of knowledge, negation of experience, negation of one's existence, but it is knowledge of, experience of, awareness of, negation of the thought and memory. It's negation of thought and memory. And negation of thought and memory is everybody's experience. It is not somebody's belief. Negation of thought and memory is not our belief. Negation of thought and memory is everybody's experience. That means it is experience. There is experience pertaining to the negation of thought and memory, and that experience is not in the form of another thought. It is not in the form of another thought. Thus, our own experience tells us that our consciousness is never negated. Negation of thought is called is considered by jiva. Negation of thought is considered by jiva as negation of consciousness. Negation of thought and memory is considered by jiva as negation of awareness. And when he concludes that when the thought is gone, awareness is gone, then he also concludes, when the thought is gone, awareness is gone. When awareness is gone, I am gone. Thus, the fear of one's own negation is based on the conclusion that awareness is negatable. And the negatability of the awareness is never provable. The negation of awareness not only can't be proved, but in fact it is constantly proved as unnegatable. Why? Why does man conclude that the negation of the thought is negation of awareness? Does he believe that the thought is negated? Does he believe that the thought is negated? Or he comes to know that the thought is negated? So, he experiences the negation of the thought, and he concludes that the awareness is negated, forgetting the fact that if I am experiencing the negation of the thought, then the experience is not negated. This is where the Shruti, this is the one fundamental mistake that is corrected by the Shruti. Everything else is only supportive. The entire Shastra is only supporting. It's a literature meant to correct this one fundamental mistake, and that is negation of thought and memory is not negation of oneself, not negation of awareness. Negation of thought and memory is not negation of experience, because it is everybody's experience. It is not anybody's belief. It is not hearsay. And therefore, our experiences are constantly proving to us that the experiencing nature of the self, the knowing nature of the self, the illumining nature of the self, the sakshitvam, drashtritvam, the chetanatvam is never lost. Therefore, it has never become impure. It can never become impure. Therefore, the basic drashta, the basic self doesn't require to be proved, doesn't require to be purified, because it is ever pure. Therefore, we don't have to play up these religious prayers and worships as something which are going to really deliver us from the problem. They can only purify our mind, which is good enough. They are expected to give us mental purity, and they do give us mental purity. But having gained mental purity, we have to get into Shastram, which unfolds the nature of our being. There is a Vidya. The Shastram educates us about our unnegatable nature. That vidya we have to be exposed to. And the religious prayers and worships have their place. We should use them to our advantage. We should get the best out of them in order to become peaceful in the mind. Thus the Siddhanti has answered the Purvapakshi's question. Now next. Nanu Dehashrayam Snana Achamanam Yajnopavitadikayam Kriyayam Dehi Sanskriyamanaam Drishtaha Nam Dehadi Samhatasyaivam Avidya Grihitasyam Atmanaham Sanskriyamanatvat. So the Purvapakshi's question was, we do see the religious prayers and worships like Snanam Achamanam purifying us. We do see, for that the Siddhanta says no. What is purified? The biggest preoccupation that man has, the biggest preoccupation in life is really a struggle for survival. Is it not? Struggle for survival is the most dominant preoccupation. The next dominant preoccupation in man's life is this religious prayers. Religion preoccupies. Religion takes the second place. Either he is struggling for survival or he is involved in religious prayers and worships. The second biggest preoccupation. Now the second biggest preoccupation called religion, what does it give to man? The struggle for survival gives man survival, all right. The second biggest preoccupation, the religion, what does it give to man? Here it says, it only purifies your mind, which is equally essential. Religion is as much useful, prayer and worship is as much relevant as even earning bread. Is as much useful. You dismiss really prayers and worship, really people will all become wild. Now, just because religion plays such a big role in softening up man's impulses, in taming his wildness, that doesn't mean that itself is going to take us to the goal. After the religion begins, after religious prayers and worships begins, the education called Vedanta. And that is also called by people as spirituality. But sometimes what happens, this word spirituality is also used by the people as a synonym for the religion. Even when they talk about spirituality, they mean only prayers and worships. But the spirituality really should mean really the education about the self. And that kind of spirituality is only in the form of Veda. It is in the form of education. There can be spiritual education, religious prayers, religious worships, but spiritual education, they're all interrelated. So here, Bhashyakara Shankaracharya says, Dehadi Samhatasyaiva, this individual who is in identification with the body. Avidya Grihitasya, this individual who is ignorant about his nature, who has a body and mind, he, Atmanaha, that individual, Sanskriyamanatva, is the one who is purified. This feeling person, this person who takes himself to be only the form, the one who takes himself to be aware only through the senses, the one who thinks that I am aware only through the senses, minus the senses, I lose awareness, minus thoughts, I lose awareness. In this manner, the one who is living a life of ignorance about his nature, called Jivatma, when he offers prayers and worships, that individual is purified, meaning his feelings are purified, his thinking can be purified, not himself as the illumining being gets purified. Feelings are entertained, but knowledge is not entertained. Feeling is entertained, but the feeling that is entertained gets known automatically. The feeling that is negated also gets known. It automatically gets known, illumined. Thus the knowledge, the awareness doesn't get entertained. Feelings are entertained, feelings come, feelings go, whereas there is knowledge automatically of the feelings. When they come, get illumined, when they go, when they resolve, also get illumined. That illuminer is eternal. That illuminer is eternal. And therefore to say that the illuminer, the self, gets purified is wrong. All that gets purified by prayers and worship is only these feelings and impulse. He has answered this question. We have seen it elaborately. Now let us go ahead. Pratyaksham hi snanam achamanadehe deha samavayitvam. Now he uses logic. Say, when you pour water on the body, the connection is the water has connection with the body. When you recite a mantra, it has connection with your mind as an individual. It is a part of your mind. So, the water cleans the body, the water purifies the body, when it comes in connection with the body. The water cleanses the body. And the prayers, the associated prayers in the mind, the prayers cleanse the mind. This is called samavayitvam, means a kind of an association. There is association of the water with the body, and there is association of the prayers with that individual who is ignorant of himself. And that individual who would like to have some relative peace by controlling his mind. Therefore, the prayers cleanse the mind, because the prayers take place in the mind. The body comes in contact with the body. The water comes in contact with the body. Therefore, there is only purification of the body and the mind. And when the person is in identification with the body and the mind, so then what he feels, I am purified. Because I being the body, and the body is cleansed, I am cleansed. When the mind is purified, there is a feeling that I am purified. But actually, even though a person says, I am purified, it is not actually the I am that is purified. It is actually the mind, the thinking, the feelings that get purified, not the I, the truth. Not the I, the truth, because I, the truth, the conscious being, can never become impure, doesn't require purification. It needs to be understood. Its definition, it is jnayam. It is jnayam. It is something to be understood by way of correcting a certain error about it. The unnegatable is seen as negatable. The unobjectifiable is seen as objectifiable. The form free is seen as a form. In this manner, there is a universal error, and by way of correcting that error, that consciousness needs to be understood. There is no need to purify that Atma, to purify the I, the being. And therefore, pratyaksham hi, it is all very evident to us. Snana achamanadehe, this snanam achamanam, etc., deha samvayitvam, they are all in connection with the body and the mind. Water has the connection with the body, prayers have got the connection with the mind, therefore they purify the body and the mind. Tayam dehashrayayam tat samhataha evam kaschit avidyayam atmatvena parigrihitaham sanskriyate iti yuktam. Now, what happens is, taya dehashraya, this kriya, this particular kriya, action that is located on the body, and the prayer that is located in the mind, then so through those snanam and prayers, even though the body and the mind is purified, but the one who is in identification with the body and the mind is called tat samhataha, the one in identification with the body and the mind. Eva, alone. Kaschid avidyaya atmatvena parigrihitaha. There is some joker here, in identification with the body and the mind, in ignorance of himself. He is called kaschid. Because you can't really say who is this person. He is an error. Tat samhataha eva. Kaschit, someone, avidyaya atmatvena, well, parigrihitaha. Is an individual who looks at himself as the body and the mind, and who doesn't know that he is the eternal. It is this individual who feels sanskriyate, who feels I am purified. Iti yuktam. This is logical to say. So the one who is purified is the individual self-benign. The one who is purified is this individual mind and the body. As a conscious being, one cannot become purified. One's feelings become purified. Iti yuktam. Yatham dehashraya chikitsa nimittenam dhatu samyenam tat samhatasyam tad abhimaninaham arogya phalam aham aroga iti yatra buddhirutpadyate. Now he gives an example. And this example is, supposing the body falls sick. When a person falls sick, when the body falls sick, then one feels, I am sick. And when the body is treated, when the body gains back, it recovers, it gets back its normal healthy state, it gets back its health, then the one in identification with the body alone feels that I am all right. In that manner, the one who feels I am unclean, by taking the bath he feels I am clean. Similarly, the one who identifies himself as only a feeler, not as the independent knower, as a feeler, the individual who looks at himself as a desirer, as a liker, as a disliker, as angry, as greedy, as jealous, thus I look at myself as only an agent of, as the author of all the impulses, as a doer and enjoyer, etc. It is that individual really who feels I am purified. Like the one after the body becomes all right, the same individual feels I have become healthy. There is no difference between saying now I have got back my health and also the one who says now I am all right. Now I am clean. After the bath I am all right. After the prayer I feel good. Previously I was disturbed. Now after prayers I am peaceful. Who is feeling it? It is not awareness. Yes, aware feeling is entertained in awareness, all right. But in ignorance of one's identity as the awareness, in ignorance of one's identity as unnegatable awareness, in that ignorance one feels I am clean, I am pure, I am sick, I am healthy. These feelings are entertained by the person in the realm of the ignorance about oneself as unnegatable awareness. And one may think, is awareness unnegatable? That is all that is proved by all our experiences. Nothing else is proved. Experiences are proving only the truth. Experiences are constantly proving the truth. If they are not proving the truth, definitely the Shastram cannot unfold the eternity of awareness. Because the Shastra only takes the help of the experiences. It only draws man's attention to his own experiences and then tells him, look, you are unnegatable, because if you are negated, then there should be an experience pertaining to your negation, and that experience should be your own. Then how can you have experience pertaining to your own negation? How can you experience your own negation? And when you are experiencing something, then that means you are not negated. Therefore, what we are experiencing in all the three states is the negation of thoughts and memories. Negation of perceptions, negation of memories, negation of thoughts and memories and pleasures and pains, and even negation of the thought, I am the body. The memory of the thought that I am the body. The idea that I am the body is gone. The memory that I was the body is gone. In sleep. Like, in the dream, the idea that I am this body is gone in the dream, the waking body. The idea I am this body is gone in the dream, nor there is a memory that I was the waking body. In deep sleep, there is negation of the idea that I am the waking body or the dream body. There is also negation of memory. And that negation of the thought and memory is not our belief. I come back to the same point. I know you will think it is being repeated unnecessarily. In fact, I can't really say there is nothing worth talking about in Vedanta except this point, that is, negation of thought and memory is not our belief. Negation of this very mind is not our belief. Negation of our own mind is our knowledge. Negation of our own mind is our experience. Unless we register that the negation of mind is my experience, it happens to be experience, but it is misunderstood as negation of experience. Experience of negation is misunderstood as negation of experience. There is no negation of experience, but there is experience pertaining to the negation of the mind. Thus, the waking is an experience, dream is experience, their negation is experience. Life is experience, death is also experience, please. That experience is not in the form of a thought. It is experience pertaining to freedom from thought. There is no individuality. This idea that I am so and so, the idea that I am the body, the idea of the universe, the idea of time, the idea of past, the idea of future, this entire creation is not there, and that freedom from the world, time, space, form, thought, body, this freedom, this resolution, which we casually call sleep, this very resolution of the mind is not one's belief, it is everybody's experience. Thus, resolution alternates with perception, and perception again alternates with resolution, and both are our experience. Therefore, that all experiencing being doesn't require any purification. It requires to be understood. That is over. Dehashre chikitsa nimittena dhatu samyena tat samhatasya tadabhimaninaha arogya phalam. And how does one feel after the treatment? Aham arogaha. Now I am free from sickness. Iti yatra buddhihi utpadyate. And it takes place in the mind, in the individual's mind. And therefore, it is that individual who feels, healthy, it is that individual who feels impure, and it is the individual also who feels that he is purified by the religious prayers and worships. Evam snanam achamanam yajñopavitādinām aham shuddhah sanskritah iti yatra buddhirutpadyate saha sanskriyate. Evam, in this manner, snana, achamana, yajñopavita. These are, Vedic purificatory rites, main Vedic. Snanam is a Vedic ritual. You see? We don't look upon snanam as a simple snanam. So snanam is a ritual. Achamana is a ritual. And yajñopavita is all rituals. It's all prayers. And when a person has snanam, achamanam and yajnopavitam and japa, etc., then he feels, aham shuddhaha, I am purified, sanskritaha, I am purified. Iti, in this manner, yatra buddhi utpadyate, this feeling takes place in his mind. In himself, this feeling takes place in the individual's mind. Saha sanskriyate, in whose mind this feeling takes place, that individual is purified. The feeler individual gets purified by the prayer, not the one who knows the feeling. The one who knows the feeling that is entertained, and the one who knows illumines the feeling that is resolved. The knowing self doesn't require to be purified. Only the feeler individual. Individual is the same conscious self is mistaken as the individual. That identity, that I am a feeler, that identity gets purified. Instead of feeling negative feelings, then he starts feeling positive feelings, which we call purification. Thus, we require to, in brief, it is better to understand this manner. Instead of saying, listen to this statement, instead of saying the individual self gets purified, not the absolute self, instead of using this language, it is better that we use our language differently. It is better to use the language that the feelings get purified, emotions get purified, and thoughts get purified, but awareness doesn't, the knowing awareness doesn't get purified, because it is ever pure. Feelings come and go, and there is awareness illumining the feelings coming and going. When the feelings disappear, there is awareness testifying to that fact. When feelings are there, it is our knowledge. When the feelings go, it is our knowledge. When memory is, it is our knowledge. When memory is gone, the negation of the memory also is an experience. The blackout is our experience. The blackout called death is experience. It is not blackout of experience, but it is experience pertaining to the blackout of thoughts and memories. That experiencing being has no blackout. That is the truth. That is the Turiyam. The negatable waking is first pada. The negatable dream is the second pada. The negatable absence of both is also third pada. The unnegatable drashta, experiencer of the presence of the waking, experiencer of the presence of the dream, experiencer of the absence of both. That experiencer has no absence at all. He is the Turiyam. And that Turiyam doesn't require to be purified. It is something to be understood. Iti comes to this point. Now, Sacham Dehenam Samhataha Evam. This individual who feels that I am now impure and now impure, now pure, now impure, is the one he is ever with the idea that I have no existence beyond the body and the mind. When body is gone, I am gone. When the mind is gone, I am gone. The one who equates himself with that idea is called the Jiva, and that Jiva benefits from the prayers and worships. Dehena sammata eva tenaiva hi aham kartra aham pratyaya vishayena pratyayina sarvaha kriyaha nirvartyante. These prayers and worships are also performed only by that individual who thinks that he is aham kartru, meaning I am the doer, I am the performer of the prayers and worships. Aham kartra, aham pratyaya vishayena. He looks at himself as an object of I thought. He looks at himself also as the thinker of the I thought. This idea that I am the body, so I make myself an object of my own thought and subject of my own thought. Like I see myself, that means I see myself. That means I am making myself an object of my thought. And I am also becoming the subject of the thought. I am the object of I thought. I am also the subject of the I thought. This is a contradiction. If I am the subject of the thought, I can't be the object of the thought. If I am the object of the thought, I can't be the subject of the thought. But I make myself both the object of my thought and subject of my thought. Thus, I become aham pratyaya vishaya. I am also pratyayina, aham pratyayina. I also become the subject of I thought. So, having converted myself, the sole subject, the unobjectifiable subject, looks at himself both as the subject and the object of thought. Then, pratyayina, as that individual, sarvaha kriyaha nirvartyante, all actions are performed by me, who look at myself as both the subject of thought and object of thought. I am the thinker of the thought, but then I am also the object of the thought, which is a contradiction. Tat phalam cha sayeva ashnati. Having performed the actions, he also enjoys the fruits. The same individual enjoys the fruits. Within ignorance I perform actions. Within ignorance I enjoy the results. Thus the law of karma, the law of cause and effect, the law of action and result operates within the realm of self-ignorance. But the law of karma has no entry into the realm of the truth. The law of karma operates in the realm of ignorance about the self. It operates in the realm of the self-ignorance and self-error. The law of karma does not exist in the realm of the truth, because in the realm of the truth there is only truth, nothing else. So the truth doesn't become really the cause or effect. The truth doesn't become the actor and the enjoyer. Within the realm of self-ignorance and self-error, or the actions, or the results, or the pleasures, or the pains, what we call samsara, is felt within the realm of self-ignorance and self-error. And therefore, that self-ignorant individual is different, in the sense he is unlike whereas its actual nature is unlike. By nature he is drashta, and in error he thinks I am karta. And even when he says I am conscious, this individual, even when he says that I am conscious, but he has an interpretation about the consciousness that I am conscious conditional to the body and the thoughts, conditional to the body and the senses. This is ignorance, this is a distortion about consciousness. And in that state of ignorance alone, well, there is struggle, samsara, etc. And to substantiate this idea, well, it is, Bhashyagara brings in a vakya. That vakya, in Mundakopanishad we have this vakya. A statement, that is, there is a nice example. There is a tree, and in the same tree there are two birds. And these two birds are always together. They are always together. But both the birds are perched on the same tree. One bird goes about eating. One bird goes about moving from branch to branch and eating sweet and bitter fruit. The other bird stays at one place. It only sees. The other bird eating the sweet and bitter fruit. The other bird merely watches. Whereas this bird, the first bird, goes about eating the bitter and sweet fruit. To show and this particular vakya is given by the Dvaitis to show that there are two selves. Two birds means two atmas. This example is given not for proving that there are two atmas, but this example is given only to show that it is one atma, and one atma by nature it is a mere drashta, but in ignorance it looks at itself as a form, and when it thinks it is a form, then it goes about doing the right, good and bad deeds, and also goes about enjoying the sweet and bitter fruit. You see? This particular statement is quoted by everybody. A lot of people to show that God is different, we are different, Paramatma is different, Jivatma is different, Paramatma is never suffering, but only Jivatma is suffering. We are two different Atmas. In order to, show the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma, this particular vakya is brought in. But actually Shruti gives this vakya in the light of the entirety of the Shastra. It's given, it is like, you see, rope as rope is one bird. Rope seen as snake is another bird. These are called two birds. Water as water is one bird. Water seen as a wave is another bird. So as a wave it has the fear. As a wave it has the fear of falling and disappearing, but as water it never disappears. In the same manner As the snake, it is one bird. It can begin and end. In ignorance it is seen, in knowledge it can disappear. But the rope is the Paramatma bird. Thus it is one bird looking at two. And that is testified by our experiences. How? Nowhere do we experience two conscious beings. We experience only one conscious being. It is the same me who is conscious of the waking. It is the same me again conscious of the dream. It is the same me again who experiences the freedom from both. As free from both I am Paramatma. As identified with the waking body and the dream body, I am Jivatma. Jivatma is the error. As free from both the bodies we are Paramatma. As identified with both the bodies, we become Jivatma. But this status of being Jivatma is negatable. But the status of being Paramatma is unnegatable. The Swarupa is unnegatable, whereas the individuality is negatable. Thus this example has to be given to show that it is the one self that looks as two, rather than there are two Atma. If there are two conscious beings, then I must have the experience. Now how can I believe something that runs contrary, that goes, against my experiences? Because whatever teaching is given, it must fall in line with experiences. And our experiences are constantly teaching only one consciousness. Me, me, me. Try to transcend me. The waking exists presupposing the me. Dream presupposes the me. Their negation also presupposes the me. It is again another experience. That unnegatable me is the Paramatma. Seen as negatable is Jivatma. This is the example that he gives. I think this example we will take up in the next class. That's enough for today. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, Hari Om. They cannot be two. No. And in fact, you yourself think that you are the body in actuality when you are not the body. It's one entity, one truth and error. They're going together. They are not even two. Truth, your actuality. There is an actuality about you ununderstood as free from the whole Srishti, body and the mind. That is your Swarupa actuality. In ignorance of that fact, one takes it for granted that I am the body. It is the same, yes. It is the rope that is the rope. It is the rope again that is seen as the snake.
And in the quest for understanding, you actually are imposing many adjectives onto the same thing, and you're having more confusion on the same.
No, so you don't have to, the adjectives all are applicable to the body and the mind. Error. But
on the error you are actually adding on more and more.
adjectives, whatever adjectives are there, you keep counting them. You don't really add any adjectives. The body is, it has a form, it has a touch, etc. And then you may add some more labels, etc. But like the snake, you see, even though it is not the snake, it happens to be a rope, but I take it for granted as snake. And then I go on giving it names, I go on describing it, I go on adding adjectives to it, I go on adding labels to it, I go on adding names to it, and I create really, biography for it. See, this is called the biography of the snake. But the whole biography is a myth because it is actually happens to be rope. Similarly, we may feel the biography about ourselves, but in actuality we are free from the physical and the mental identity. This is the matter for education. How our identity, our intrinsic identity is non-physical and free from thought also. So it is the rope that is seen as snake. Now I have to rethink and understand what I am seeing as snake is not snake but rope.
But that's also in the realm of thought, isn't it?
It is in the realm of understanding, it is in the realm of thought. The right thought corrects the wrong thought. That it is snake is a wrong thought, but it is not the snake is the right thought, true to what it actually is, that it is rope. It is not snake, but it is rope is the right thought, and right thought corrects the wrong thought. Having corrected itself is not there. Right thought about that fact corrects the wrong thought about the fact, and itself has done its job, then all that remains is only a fact. There is only ropa, anubhava. In that manner, the idea, like you see, the idea that I am the body, and when a person goes to sleep, he is trying to negate that thought that I am the body. There is an effort. See, this is called vichara. There is an effort to transcend the mind. That is called falling asleep. Slowly, you are making an effort. Whatever little effort, you are making a little effort to transcend. Now when the mind is transcended, then there is no effort also. So the effort to transcend the mind is gone with the mind. Similarly, the reflection to correct the error goes with the snake. What remains is only the experience, the anubhava of the fact. Similarly, the effort to sleep goes with the effort to transcend the mind goes with the mind, leaving behind you, the effortless being, which is not a thought. That is you, the being, not thinking. There is no thinking, there is only being. We think when there is no thinking, there is no being, but no. In fact, the thinking when it is not there is the being. The being is our nature. Thinking is the realm of adhyasa. That is the whole Viveka done by the Vedanta. It's the realm of thinking. This is the realm of the being. You are by nature the being. Whereas the realm of thinking is all mere thinking. That's not the actuality. It's a distortion about the being. That is what it is. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Brahman is all pervasive. Even in
Yes.
the body, it will still be pervasive.
It is pervading.
Then what happens to the creation? It's only the satiety that goes after the body.
No, here what Brahman is all pervasive.
Because nature cannot have a body. Where is the body that's there? It can't be.
No, that's why, you see, supposing a person dies, the body of the dead person falls in your awareness, the one who is looking at it. That person is free from the universe. For him there is no universe, like in sleep. He is universe free. Okay? He is one without a second. Like when a person goes to sleep, that sleep is, it's not experienced as one of the three states, it is Advitiyam. Okay? A person who dies is Advitiyam until he wakes up. When he wakes up also he is Advitiyam, but he thinks it's Advitiyam. Now as regards his dead body, for him there is no body. For him there is no body, there is no world, there is no onlooker, there is no you, there are no criers, etc. He is free from prapancha. Now the onlooker, you see the dead person's body. Say, where is Brahman in it? That body, the elements fall within your awareness. Therefore, it is pervaded by Chetana. You may call it your awareness, but it is not your awareness, it is awareness. So, in the dead body also there is awareness. In the dead body there is awareness. Instead of saying this, even the dead body falls in awareness. The idea of my and you also is a kalpita in awareness. So the body falls in awareness. Therefore it is always pervaded by awareness. Pervaded means, you see, it is not outside awareness. Like wave is not outside water. Therefore we can say even in the dead body there is Brahman. Because even the dead body falls within awareness. Definitely. And we don't have to say his awareness or my awareness. You have a question about the dead body. What about the awareness in the body? The dead body is known to you, and therefore it is falling in awareness. That means there is awareness in the body. There may not be identification with the body, but as the truth of the body there is awareness. The same truth may not be having identification with the body. I am the body. That identification, negation of identification doesn't amount to negation of awareness. Therefore, what gets negated in a dead person's body is that identification resolves, not awareness resolves. Because when that identification resolves, it resolves unto awareness. The very experiencer of the negation of the identification. There is someone who experiences freedom from that identification. That experiencer of the negation of that identification is Brahman, is there. And as regards the onlooker, that same body falls in awareness. So when is the body outside awareness? Its resolution is in awareness, its presence is in awareness. The dead body's presence is in awareness, its resolution is in awareness. Therefore, there is awareness even in the dead body in the sense as the truth of the body, not identification. है very, very profound Vedanta ji. बहुत बड़ी बात है. What we are hearing. This is really parakashta, sa parakashta, sa paragati. It's a very, very to be understood things. This Vedanta becomes understood when you go on knocking on it, knocking at the doors of Vedanta. हाँ जी, बताइए.
See, you are saying knower is the self, experience is the self. Who is the actual doer?
The same knower, in identification with the hands and feet, the body, entertains the feeling, I am the doer. So it is a notional. Doership is notional. To be knower is choiceless. To be conscious is choiceless. and to be the doer, identifier with the body. That identification is incidental.
That has to be erased.
That has to be corrected. So I am basically a conscious being rather than the form. That is to be understood.
But with this knowledge alone, you cannot correct it.
Knowledge alone corrects the error. Sometimes, we simply believe it and think that is knowledge. No. It should be proper knowledge. Knowledge alone can correct ignorance and error. Not the belief, not actions. Classes, थोड़ा बहुत सुनने से, entertain question, write down questions. You can always ask me questions after the class, no problem. Any other questions? You have any questions? You can write it down very clearly so that you can. The only way of Vedanta is writing down the questions and sitting and thinking. If you shy away from the questions do come. Any student, when you begin Vedanta, it is such a strange topic. I mean, it's saying, you are not this form, and in sleep you don't disappear. In sleep you are there. You are there in the waking, you are there in the dream. In fact, you don't die. This is a strange topic for a jiva. So all that you have to do is write down not only the doubts, wherever certain things are not clear. You may not have the doubt, but what is said is not clear. This is not clear. This is not clear. Those things, in fact, become clear in the class themselves. And so you can wait for a little while. You can hear a few classes. Sometimes the classes themselves answer those things, clarify. But sometimes it doesn't become. You can write down. That's why, the classes and the notes should go together. Write down whatever is not clear. Where you feel it is illogical, where you feel it is not evident, where you feel you have not understood, we can always put down after the class any time. You can sit and discuss. That is how we can move ahead. Okay.
Unfortunately, fall into error, and we have to make so much effort to get out of it.
Yes, error is effortless in the sense, it is not even effortless.
Given this.
Error has been there. Like illiteracy, a person is effortlessly illiterate. But to become literate, he has to make effort. In the same manner. To be ignorant of myself, that is effortless. But to figure out what I am, what this world is, I have to make effort. In terms of understanding. It's an effort of understanding.
The good problem with avidya is that that's a given to you.
That is
you haven't done anything to deserve avidya.
Avidya is given in the sense it has been there. Like it is like saying illiteracy has been given to the person. Meaning he is born illiterate. Born ignorant. A person is born with the idea that I am the form. That is an error. Therefore, the very birth is within that avidya. Avidya is there. This birth takes place in avidya. Last birth took place in avidya. Next birth also would take place in avidya. Thus, birth itself takes place in avidya. And one takes it for granted that I am the form and keeps going. It is only when he gets a lot of tokas, he really gets choked. Then he runs here and there, becomes panic. What is happening? What is this life? What is next life? What is previous life? What is God? What is this world? Person becomes, churns some thinking. Then he comes to Vedanta. At least he goes to some place where he can find some answers. And if that place happens to be anything other than Vedanta, it is again a part of the same conclusion. It is the same part of the conclusion. Therefore, ultimately, it's only by some anugraha one comes to Vedanta. I will not change that stand. Only some anugraha will bring a jiva to Vedanta literature, not otherwise. He will not come in the first place. Now that you have come, means a lot of anugraha is there. Keep thinking.
Anugraha, you are very Swami. Anugraha, you are very.
Anugraha means grace, God's grace.
You have earned it or
You have earned it, yes. You have earned it. You have earned it. That is why you could not have come to it. Anugraha is not a distributed free. Anugraha is always earned. You must have done some good deeds, some prayers. And the result really, God has inspired you in this life. Otherwise, you can get inspiration for wrong things. If a person finds oneself inspired for doing the right thing, you find yourself with a good temperament, I think there is